Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. On today's show, we're going to have a closer look at those election results we've been talking so much about, and in particular the rise of the National Front, the results, of course, from the first round of France's presidential election, which was held on Sunday. Today, I'm pleased to be meeting with Thomas Udaille, who is the Secretary General of the Europa Nova think tank, a think tank that is devoted to promoting the European project.
Exactly.
We're going to start with a closer look particularly at those results of the National Front, a historic high for Marine Le Pen. What is the message? What is your reading of the results of France's first round?
Well, for me, it's a clear protest vote because the two main candidates didn't answer to the real question that the French citizens are asking themselves. What are the questions today? What is at stake? The issue of employment, of course, the issue of immigration, the issue of the future of France and Europe. And on all this subject, the candidates didn't really answer. The debate was very, I would say, light, artificial, tactic in terms of politics, how really to gain votes on this part of the population, this other part. So every, I would say, international comments was on this level of the campaign. And in particular, what is the at stake today is that France doesn't have anymore the capacity to lead its policy without Europe. So basically, the candidates didn't say the truth to all the citizens. And I think the citizens are feeling it, you know, that we're not managing anymore our future. They're at some point afraid of Europe. Another part of the population believe that we need more integration in Europe. That's, of course, what we think we can develop. And Front National, the electors of Front National, are afraid, they don't understand, and basically the candidates don't answer their fear.
Because, of course, for ordinary citizens, the voters, this is a crisis that they're already feeling. It's every day. It affects them in many different ways on a day-to-day basis. And there is a real debate to be had about the future and how this crisis should be dealt with on one hand, Nicolas Sarkozy, who might have made the case for austerity, and on the other, François Hollande, who might have made the case for growth, crudely to separate the two out. There was a real debate to be had. Why do you think did they choose to ignore it so entirely?
Because it is a very complex debate, and politics and in general national election are not the place to have this kind of debate. I mean, that's what we can see, and it's one of the problems. The other problem is that Nicolas Sarkozy and François Hollande don't really know where they're going. And when you were mentioning their two visions, it's not exactly true, because Nicolas Sarkozy has always said, you know, there is this stability pact that is here to make the countries regulate their deficit and get rid of their debt. But he also said that, you know, we need some growth, but he did not really go further into this debate and into this political discussion with his colleagues from other countries.
And that is the point, that it is within Europe and amongst themselves and at a European level that this debate needs to take place.
Exactly. So there is the two level of the problem, and because the candidates have, I think, an old vision of the political election and of the world. Basically, they decided to do a traditional campaign based on tricks rather than talking about the real subject. And the world has changed, in particular since the beginning of the century and since the beginning of the crisis. Everybody knows that we're in a globalized world and that the answer cannot be at national level for growth, for regulation, for investment, for the future. So basically, they are still 20th century candidates, and that's why we have this level of debate, and that's why also Front National is at this level.
And of course, Europe might have provided some of the answers, but having defined it as the problem, it was very difficult for national politicians to seek to present it as the solution as well. Or if a common vision has been found, it's been purely fiscal. The fiscal pact is what we've talked about, at the expense of what Europe might have provided, which is a social model and an idea of growth for the future.
No, you're completely right. The difficulty is that it is much more complex to build this kind of project, to get an agreement with the other European countries, and to be able also to project and transmit this vision to the citizens. Basically, politics is about short-term and simple answer. Well, it has been like this, and that was the case in this election. So the complexity of the European dimension and the fact that it is more difficult for the candidates to sell it, we have this result. But I think that we are in a particular period where we have seen these days that I would say the last result of the austerity plan developed in major European countries are really showing that we're getting into the wall. There won't be growth coming back. The last figure of deficit from Greece, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, and even UK are showing that that's not the right road to take. The European Commission is starting to talk about minimum wage in Europe and another way to help employment to grow. And lastly, today, the European Central Bank president said that we should be more focused now on growth and on a growth plan at European level more than on austerity. So we're really at this, I think, at this turn.
And yet it's difficult to imagine at this particular junction, with everything that we've heard, that politicians at a national level might start telling their electorates, and indeed manage to convince them, that what they need right now is more rather than less Europe.
Yeah, it needs, I would say, a quantic step from them, to be able to realize that, I think they realize, because they are very bright, that this is where is the solution, but that they will be capable to handling this solution. It is complex, and that they also will be able to, I would say, transmit it to the citizen, and that it will not be a problem in terms of election result. And it goes also with a capacity to develop a new storytelling about Europe, because what is at stake also with the rise of the Front National and other extremist parties in Europe is there are really two different projects of society that are fighting. The extremists and Front National are really against Europe to have closed borders, get out of the euro, focused on national identity. Depends on some country, but these are the basics ideologies. And on the other hand, you have a collective vision to be developed with different countries, with different culture. It's really a humanist project that could be a very good driver, I think, in terms of politics for the new generation in particular, to show them where are we going and what world we're going to build.
Given, though, that the politicians we have let so much time pass, that the crisis has hit hard, that people have reacted to it by voting to the right in search of an answer, they're going to have to claw back all this lost time and all this damage that's been done, because, of course, and France isn't the only place where the far right, has redefined almost the campaign itself, but the dialogue of everyday politics and the priorities of sitting governments. It's happened throughout Europe, and in a sense, it is a much steeper hill for the politicians to climb than it would have been 5 years ago.
You're completely right, and that's what everybody is saying about Greece. If we had taken the Greek problem at the root when the crisis started, it would not have been so difficult. So yes, now it's difficult, but I think it's an important change and an important step to take. And
But you believe it's
people,
possible,
of
even
course,
even with
of
national
course,
politicians facing electorates who are obviously very
I
hostile?
believe it's possible and that there is no other way. And I think it's going to change. It has been changing a bit. It's going to change because people are changing when they're hurt very badly. And we are starting to get hurt very badly. In France, it's going to happen quite soon. We're still in a comfortable situation if you compare to Spain, to Italy. But in a few months, if we have a tremendous financial problem for the Spanish debt, and that the future mechanism of European solidarity is not enough to provide the financing of this debt, what do? So, we know that we're at the border of the cliff and that we'll have to move. And probably that, the last sign we heard from the European Commission and the European Central Bank, as I mentioned, and the fact that François Hollande might be the next French president, and he has always said that he will renegotiate the Stability Pact and put more focus on growth for Europe. This is maybe an interesting trend to make this progress in Europe.
Thomas Oudeye, thank you very much indeed for having been our guest today. That brings us to the end of today's interview, but we'll be back very shortly for another. Do stay with us on France 24.